Okay, so hi, I'm Matt. So I'm the managing director and co-founder of a games-focused creative agency based right here in Leeds, and we're called OtherThings. So I'm going to be talking about a couple of things that will hopefully be of interest to any publishers, developers, or studios in the audience that are looking to improve their marketing operations, and particularly those that are looking to market to a global audience at some point. So I appreciate that many of you won't know who I am or what my business does. So here's a slide with a few of the companies that we've worked with and are currently working with. And I'm going to play our show reels in the background whilst I talk so that you have something more interesting than me to look at. So I've worked at some AAA studios and publishers in my time before founding OtherThings. And as an agency, we work with studios and publishers of all sizes. So I've had a pretty good insight into how and when things are working really well and when they're not. And this is something that I'll be exploring in the first part of my talk, where I'll be talking about how publishers and studios can get the most out of their marketing activities. Then I'll be talking a bit about things to consider when you're looking to take a game globally and market it to a global audience. Something that I've helped, or my business has helped a lot of our clients do, and also me personally having quite a good experience of that working with Codemasters and PlayStation. And where I've also spent a lot of time working as kind of the middleman straddling the fence between creative and marketing and development teams. So understanding the frustrations from both sides. Perfect, fine. All right, so the first bit, maximising your marketing. And this is going to focus on how making improvements in one particular area can have a massive impact on your marketing overall. It's something that I've seen and experienced firsthand, and something that I think a lot of you will have experienced too, or at least understand. So this is development teams versus marketing teams. Can we get a show of hands who considers themselves to be on the development side of things here? All right, and marketing. Anybody here from marketing? All right, that's not going to be a fair fight. But in preparing to talk about this, I spoke with a large number of games industry leaders, and I was overwhelmed by how much this point resonated with them. It's that the rub between the marketing teams and the development teams is very real. There are issues there. In fact, only one of the people that I spoke to said that they thought their business had cracked it. The rest said that there was a lot of room for improvement. And by rub, I mean that they might be moving in different directions slightly, that priorities might not be perfectly aligned, and sometimes there can be issues with respect and trust between teams, and it's generally where priorities have not been properly aligned somewhere along the line. Many of the people that I spoke to, and you'll be hearing from them in a way in a minute, gave me insights about businesses that they're currently working for, or that they themselves are running. So everybody here is anonymous for their own protection. And for the next bit, I'm going to run through some of the things that came up consistently while I was chatting with them. So there's quite a bit to unpack, not a load of times. It's a bit of a whistle-stop tour. Here we go. So the first bit, planning and bandwidth, which sounds boring, but hopefully it's not going to be totally boring. Right, the problem here. The game teams are heads down trying to deliver a game to tight deadlines, which means bandwidth for marketing asks are often secondary to the game making itself. And of course, without an awesome game, you've got nothing to market. So that makes a lot of sense. But without marketing, who's going to know to buy this awesome game? And in a world where we've got around 40 games per day in 2023 being released on Steam alone, it's a very, very crowded marketplace, and it's difficult to stand out. So the reason, or one of the reasons, this is more prevalent when the development and publishing functions are separated. This means they have objectives and goals that do not fully align. So dev teams are measured on hitting development milestones and making a great game. Marketing teams are measured on hitting the beats of their marketing campaign and on attracting attention. But in the end, everybody's measured on the success of the game and it being a commercial success. So that's got to be a combination of every team's efforts. The fix, or a part of it, look at each other with fresh eyes, reminding ourselves that we're all here to make games and that the industry we love thrives best when we make brilliant titles which are played by engaged global audiences. From our anonymous developer and marketing veteran. And I really love this quite positive take from this unnamed source. But it's so simple but so true. It's kind of simple to say, but not simple to do. But fundamentally, it's about effective planning up front, making sure that you've planned enough time to do everything you want to do with contingency time, so that teams aren't taken by surprise by last-minute requests, and then nobody's asking for anything unreasonable from the other team, which kind of leads me to my next point. They just don't get it, right? So this is kind of paltry now. Marketing didn't really understand the complexity involved in making certain changes, and the production side of the business didn't understand the ultimate fact that shipping a game on time is meaningless if nobody's going to pick it up. So, this insight was from somebody who was referring to how things used to be, but, a lot of this still rings true today, at least in some places. Marketers don't always fully understand the complexities and the process of developing a game, and developers don't always understand what marketing are doing or why they need to be involved in it. So it's back to that point of everybody pulling in the same direction and respecting that each team is the expert in what they do, even if you don't fully understand the ins and outs of how that team works. A reason. Marketing departments are often centralised, and this is the main culprit for the push and pull effect, because there are often discrete priorities for each team and they move them in different directions. And that's from our anonymous brand boss, or to put it another way, fear is the path to the dark side, fear leads to anger leads to hate, and hate leads to suffering. But from an anonymous Jedi master. So, if everyone's afraid of hitting their targets, then they're not going to be pulling in the same direction. And if we're all at loggerheads because teams are not aligned on priorities, then nobody knows who's in charge of prioritizing what. Then it's only going to breed frustration and annoyance. So nobody wants that. All right, so a fix: work with marketing to provide details and ensure those are accurate. But ultimately, what it comes down to is just honesty and openness. Be heavily involved in it, then call out stuff early that isn't right. So this is ultimately about avoiding working in silos and ensuring that the priorities for marketing and dev teams are aligned. And this needs to be driven by leadership teams. And those leadership teams also need to make sure that the people on the ground, the people actually at the coalface, are following through with that and living it, living a kind of one team philosophy. Or put simply, have studio leadership champion marketing early and often. If the studio culture does not embrace marketing, the gap is never bridged. And this is the last point on the subject that I'm going to make today, and it called it "This is my baby." So the problem here is that creators or developers have a vision of what the game is in their head, and they're the only ones who know that. Marketeers form an idea of what the game conveys, which is a completely different factor of the equation. So protectiveness and ownership of a game is always going to be a point of contention. There's always going to be somebody on the team who feels responsibility and accountability and sort of ownership for the creative vision of a game, and rightly so. You're gonna need those champions to push forward a creative vision, but these champions need to fight for that and defend it. But what that can't mean is that if a marketing team wants to come in and ride roughshod over a creative vision, they need to know that that's not cool. And the game developer also should be a little bit more flexible and allow perhaps some tweaks to the creative vision in order to create optimal marketing to sell the game and make it work for a mass market. And the reason for this happening sometimes is the game inception phase is where development and marketing align, can budget together, can explore marketing opportunities and build towards that goal. So this is about ownership and protectiveness. And as a generally accepted rule, the developers know best how to make a game and marketers know best how to sell it. But having, ensuring that those teams are pulling in the same direction and working towards the same goal is obviously going to be the optimal way to move forward. All right then, so the fix to this. So it's about timing and when to give marketing a seat at the table for product-related decision-making. You should be thinking about the marketability of every feature during the design phase, not after the feature has been designed or developed. So don't leave it too late to involve marketing. You can involve them really early in the process. They can be involved at pre-production. In the case, to research trends and market possibilities, validate game concepts and ideas, and offer kind of data-backed thoughts and research on things that you might want to put into a game to give it the best chance of success. All right, I also particularly like this quote for reasons which may be apparent, but the answer actually is that working with a creative agency on a project was helpful for getting dev and marketing perspectives aligned. All right, so I'm going to summarize this particular section of the talk now. So how to optimize your efforts. Involve marketing as early as possible and give them a senior seat at the table. Have a marketing person embedded in the development team. Ensure leadership champions the benefits of working closely with the marketing teams. Ensure that marketing respects the development process and doesn't overload the dev team with information and requests that are not absolutely necessary. And plan meticulously to minimize any surprise requests to a busy dev team. Okay, so that was all very top line. We blasted through it quite quickly, but I don't have a massive amount of time. And I also wanted to talk quickly about some things you can do and consider if you're wanting to take your game to a global audience. So first up, I'm sure most of you here are well aware, games is huge. It's a massive, massive market globally. So there's just a little snapshot of some of the breakdown of players worldwide. And here's the related revenue chart. So we can see that the market is massive, and also there are markets out there that are huge that are non-primary English speaking regions of the world. So localization is going to be something that you're going to want to consider, obviously, if you're going to go global. But also there are cultural considerations to take into account. And I'll talk through some examples of those in a minute. But first off, I wanted to just talk about the localization point, a specific aspect of that. So I'm going to pick on the German language just to make a point, and I won't try to pronounce the German words, but I think you'll get what I mean. All right, here we have a matchbox. Here we have a German matchbox. Here we have Keanu's 1994 classic Speed. And here's our mock-up of the same word in German. Oh look, the effects are here with a sail. And here's a sail in German. Alright, so Stranger Things fans, let's go to Starkhawk Mall and get some Scoops Ahoy. Or in Germany. So, see, the UI elements, in-game design, and really anywhere where words are written, should be built with global languages and increased character lengths in mind. Or you might end up making some quite time-heavy changes later on down the line when you really don't want that nasty surprise. Okay, here's spot the difference. I have two examples of box art. One's for the US, one's for the EU. Has anybody noticed the difference yet?
I think.
Yeah, you got it straight away. So there's that. Yeah, it's not the ASRB logo, the Peggy logo. It's the hanging person in the logo, and the ASRB decided that the kind of demonic face and blood dripping was okay for the pack art, but not this silhouette of a hanging person. So the box art was deemed inappropriate for the US market. Had to be the logo element of anyway had to be changed. The reason for that is because the box art's going to be seen by a broader audience and just the people that buy and play the game. So, that's their reason for it, and it felt that depiction was non-compliant within their guidelines. And there are all sorts of examples of this kind of thing, and for all sorts of different reasons as well. But getting ahead of these sorts of issues is going to be something that you're going to want to consider, and make sure you have the resources within your team or within your supplier network so that you can, head them off before they're going to cause a lot of reworking later on. The last bit here, just a tiny bit about cultural sensitivities and cultural context. Right, so here's Sonic giving perfectly innocuous thumbs up sign, right? Show this in the UK and the US and everyone gets it. It's just saying, yeah, all is good, it's all well. But in some parts of the world, it's the equivalent of flipping the bird. So, if this is the sort of stuff that should be considered at an early enough stage in the development process to manage it, I'm pretty much out of time, but I'm going to move to the summary. There's of course a lot more to be said on this. It's quite top line and whistle stop right now, but the three things that I just covered, consider the impact of localization on design elements, be mindful of cultural differences and sensitivities, and check you're being compliant with those local regulatory bodies. So yeah, that's it. Here's the slide with my details, and I think there's time for a few questions now, but yeah, I'll be around bar as well later. Any questions? Thanks, Jackie.
I was reading on the names.industry.biz about the fact that many companies at the moment are having to sort of really focus their capital trade and things like that to secure investment because it's a very difficult, challenging environment. So are you finding more companies coming to you for that? What would you advise companies with that?
Well, definitely in downturn time, marketing can be one of the things that is the first to, disappear. And, as was the example made earlier around, 40 games per day coming out on Steam, not being able to stand out and not investing in your marketing is a really big, potential mistake. And, I would always, it obviously that's the reason being an agency that makes trailers, I would always advocate that anybody puts as much as possible into their marketing in order to stand out in this world, because you can make the greatest game ever, but if nobody knows about it, nobody's buying it. So yeah.
What percent of the total budget do you recommend for marketing?
90. Yeah, it varies. Whatever you can afford. I generally, there are benchmarks, 10-15% that some people like to recommend, but the more you can put into it, and it can breed its own revenue as well, because it's all about ROI. If you found a really excellent way of marketing that you can pump more cash in and get more and more ROI from it, then you might want to increase it. But it varies. I don't think there's a stock answer, to be honest. And not everybody's got enough budget to even make a half decent trailer. I think one of the things that is really important, as Jackie just said, is having a really good snapshot of your game so that people get it straight away. It's it's a universal, globally usable trailer, and it can just help sell, and let people know about what the game is, because without it, no one's going to.
So, with the rise of social media platforms like TikTok, they've obviously recently held live stream, for example, is doing incredible numbers just from the community. How can companies best take use of that?
Utilising TikTok being down?
Yeah, and other social media platforms kind of create variety and one in.
Right, okay, yeah, organically.
Yeah.
So, well, it's tricky. You've got to try and catch a wave of some kind. And, there's people on my team that are, I've got social media experts. I know social media, but I'll try and give the best answer that I can. Organically within a team, I think it's you can follow the game development process and peel back the curtain a little bit. And some of this is around the hype and the build up to releasing a game, because marketing doesn't begin at the point at which you want to start selling it. It should begin very, very early on, getting people excited about your concept. And any social media platform, and use the people that you've got on your team or within your network to start talking about features of your game and try to get people excited. You can share some of your character art, your animations, your lore and things like that, and trying to get any influencers, streamers, content creators playing that. There's often a cost attached to it though. If you're talking purely about organic things, then it's being as inventive as you possibly can to create content that's going to attract attention. And there's certain boxes that you can put those into that you can follow a bit of a template, but some of the best stuff's just a bit unhinged and weird, and it's being inventive and creative is a good way to just try and you can't make a viral, but you can attempt to go viral. Yeah, it's a dark art. There's no true answer.
Yes, thank you.
Yes. Are there any like marketing advice that you would give like if we decide to come and do like a crowdfunding sort of things for companies?
Marketing to attempt to crowdfund?
Yeah.
I mean, just generally any sort of organic marketing that you can do to try and get the word out there. I mean, it depends on what type of game it is. What are the unique features of your game that people are going to be interested in? You're going to want to try and pull those out and then talk more about those. What is it? Why should people bother? Why should they be interested? Especially if you're looking to do a Kickstarter or something to raise funds for your game. It's you've got to tell people in a really direct and compelling way why they should be interested, because otherwise they're not going to necessarily seek it out. So, but starting from a standstill with no audience and no hype at all around the game it's a tricky place. But that's where you need to get a plan together, figure out what it is you want to say about a game and how you want to say it and how you can say it, with a low budget too. Lots of different factors to it. It's a big one to answer, but I hope that's summed up.
Thank you.
Yeah. Right, Brill, thank you very much.